Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and in today's video let's have a first look into the ToLiss A320NEO aircraft. It is the latest of the ToLiss fleet. It features the best cockpit model and obviously it is an A320NEO. So we get something good to compare it against our Microsoft Flight Simulator Neo as well. Before we're going to start, let's quickly head out the airplane, have a very quick look into the outside model, and then we're going to start working on the inside on our Brussels Airlines flight from Paris to Brussels, which is a quick little 35 to 40 minute flight. Alright, that's the outside model, so let's just about head out, and that is what it looks like. So, the livery is a third-party livery, so don't mention anything about that, please. Great looking engines, the Neo engines. On this one we've got the CFM LEAP engines. There will be a second video where we're flying the Pratt & Whitney engines as well. And that is what it looks like, our beloved A320. Alright then, so. The scenery, by the way, looking quite good as well. Obviously for X-Plane standards up here. So this is Paris Charles de Gaulle. And well, for X-Plane standards, it is an alright scenery. Alright then, so that concludes our little look into the outside model. So I suppose we get back to the inside and start to get flying. This is the default viewpoint that you spawn into. Now, in my opinion, that is not quite an optimal point of view, just looking at where you are located. But luckily, you can just about correct that yourself and just go a little bit further up front and a little bit lower. Now, surprisingly, the eyeballs don't really match up at that position. However, in my opinion, this is probably the best position you can get for the airplane. Okay then. So we're a new crew, we just took over, and it is about time to get this one going. So let's start by having a look into the EFB and preparing a little bit of what we're about to do. I didn't find any possibility to actually view my operational flight plan in here yet, so if you know one, then do let me know in advance. In the meantime, I will start by getting a couple of the maps ready for our later usage. And as always, using Navigraph charts for this one. Some of you found it surprising on some of my earlier Airbus videos, but yes, indeed, we do generally prepare the EFB prior to preparing the aircraft. Okay, so that's what we're looking for, the northern taxi chart. Yep. Then we also need a parking chart. I believe it's that one. Yes, it is. Okay, and that also tells us our standard taxiway system. That's going to be interesting for later on. Okay then, finally we need our SID. So, departure, and we have the numero 5 alpha departure, which is, or normal 5 alpha, which is located just on here. Okay, perfect. So that's our EFB prepared. Normally we'd also do a little bit of weight and balance calculation at this point, and also some takeoff performance. However, you can see that it really favors to have something in the flight computers. You can of course always simply enter stuff manually, but things are going to get a little bit nicer doing that stuff from the computers, so I am going to show you. Okay then, taking over the airplane. First thing to do, obviously, we check that it is indeed in a safe configuration for everybody to work with the plane, like it is right now. Okay, batteries 25.5 minimum when they're turned off. And here we go. Okay. Yeah, well, we saw what we needed to see. Okay, so that is our Airbus done with its initial setup. So how about we start with the cockpit preparation? It is in a little bit of a strange configuration over here. Some of the buttons are certainly not where I would expect to find them. Let's see, airplane is fueled up. Okay. Well, we don't expect too many passengers, so we can leave the airflow selector in the low position today. And then do our fire tests. Okay, and finally we need the PA on here so that it gets recorded on the voice recorder. Okay then, QNH is 1010. And that's set down here as well. That's looking good. Okay. That is still looking good as well. Transponder a little bit different from what you're used to from Microsoft Flight Simulator, but that is indeed a very new style transponder. Okay then, let's go ahead and start with our MCDU setup. A320NEO, LEAP engines, database is current. We've got a couple of stored waypoint and routes in here, which are from previous flights that I did to familiarize myself with the model. And then we can go ahead and request our flight plan initialization. Takes a short while for the airplane to complete that, and when it is completed, we can go ahead and fill out the rest of the stuff. What I found a little bit interesting is that when you do the uplink, it gets the data from SimBrief, but for example over here, you can see that it inserts an alternate that I didn't plan, because my planned alternate in the OFP is Amsterdam. And for example, I saw some deviations in cruise level as well already. In any case, wind data, uplink, thank you. And then Paris, departure, 27 right. And we've got the, what is that, normal 5 alpha departure. Here we go, normal 5 alpha. Insert, Brussels, arrival, ILS. I believe it's going to be Zulu 25 left on this one, via Avul 7 Alpha. And that should lead us all the way to... not in the flight plan. That's a little bit annoying, but we can always do this. Okay, towards Kirky. So we take the Kirky transition. And that's what we need. Alright, perfect. Secondary flight plan we'll prepare with the engine outset. So, Charles de Gaulle X8, I believe this is. Okay, so LFPG 27 right / what's the runway track? We can get that up here as well. 261. Okay, /261 / 25 miles straight ahead. Thank you. Store. And here we go. And we'll prepare an immediate return to Paris as well. On ILS approach 27 left. Okay, that's it. So, do we need any nav radios? Quick look into the departure. Nope, we don't. Okay, then we can just about draw the extended center line up here. Like so. And with that we can save our route. Okay, delete the previous routes. That is the routes on which I practiced. And here's the new one stored. Okay then. The weights have been uplinked directly from SimBrief, so they are not necessarily what we have in the airplane. So let's use the EFB for that. And in here we can see we've got 58.4 and 32.5 as our CG. So 58.4 is correct, but you can see that the CG is quite off, so we always got to check that stuff ourselves. Also, we have 4 tons of block fuel on board, like so. Okay then. Takeoff performance, let's reset that, and now it's linked up with our... Now it's linked up. So, it's... Yeah, well, that certainly looks like everything is still wet outside, so... Let's say our runway condition is wet. Anti-ice we shouldn't need. Let's see what it computes. Config 1 plus F, 73 degrees, 38, 38, 41, down trim 0.5. That looks alright to me. Okay, so... That means we've got 1 plus F and 0.5 down. 1/0.5 down, 73 degrees, and then our takeoff speeds 38, 38, 41, leaving us 141 meters of stop margin. And that is going to be fine for us. So 38, 38, 41. And final thing over here, we have a noise abatement procedure number 2. It would be nice if that was actually shown in here as well, because in the real Airbus performance software you can, but that's fair enough. I suppose all we need is the departure field elevation, and we should be able to get that from the chart as well. Yeah, 392, so that means 1400 is going to be fine for our thrust reduction and acceleration. And finally, for the engine out, we are going to use 1900, and that's it. So, do we need to pre-select any speed for our departure turn? No, we don't. Okay, perfect. Cool, and that's the preparation complete already. So, what we can do next? Well, first things first, obviously, we're going to set up our FCU, and they said 1012 is our QNH, and the initial climb to flight level 100, like so. Okay, and then we can use a plan mode in order to cross-check all of our SID with a chart. So we can see on here that, well, up there was a note saying that do not turn before the departure end of runway. And we've got transition altitude 5000, simultaneous parallel departures are conducted from 26 left right and 27 left right. Pilots must strictly adhere to the published initial climb segments. Okay, we'll do that. Speed max 250 below 100, at or above level 100 may be increased without further ATC clearance. Okay. So, initial climb, flight level 100, and we've got 10,000 selected. Okay then, for our routing, runway 26 right, climb on 261 track to Papa Golf 270, then Papa Golf 276. Okay, and we've got departure end of runway 270, 276. And that indeed looks pretty much like what is on the chart. Okay, then, from there on the normal departure, Papa Golf 276 to normal, and we have 276 towards normal, so that is exactly what we want to have. No need for any speed reductions or anything, and with that our FMS is checked, so let's go ahead and start up the APU, and while the APU is starting, we can do our departure briefing. Okay, so please go ahead with the briefing. I'm going to do it all from the captain's seat. However, normally the pilot monitoring would lead the briefing and the pilot flying would follow thereafter. But to make it simpler, and in order not to have to change between left and right all the time, I'm going to do it all from the captain's seat. Okay, Paris Charles de Gaulle runway 27 right. We'll take the full length on the normal 5 Alpha departure, climbing flight level 100. MSA for the departure is 3,200 feet, and extra fuel we have 23 minutes in terms of 700 kilos. Okay, hotspots for taxi out, there are a couple. Most important thing here, we'll do pushback with the nose to the right, and then we taxi south of that, round terminal via Alpha all the way forward into November, then upwards on November, right on to Quebec, and then via Quebec 3, then via Quebec 4, we're going to cross the runway and then take runway 27 right full length for the departure. A couple of hotspots over here, making sure that we indeed enter the correct taxiways and hold short of the correct runways. And looking at these, I would expect they are probably hotspots. Position on the airport surface where runway taxiway intersections have taken place. Okay, yeah, that is fine. That's not going to be an issue for us. Okay, stop margin for rejected takeoff is 141 meters. Immediate return is possible. We're below the maximum landing weight. Special operations, I do not really see anything for that, and I don't have any threats for the departure either. Well, taxi is a bit complicated, but we talked about that. Any questions on departure briefing? No? Okay, very good. Then we can do the cockpit preparation checklist. Gear pits and covers removed. Fuel quantity 4,000 kilogram balanced. Seatbelts on, ADRs. Nav, barrel rev, QNH 1012. Cockpit preparation checklist complete. Okay, APU avail. And they can start preparing the aircraft. So the brake is set. Please disconnect external power and disconnect external, and remove the chocks. Okay, let's get about ready. So planning our pushback is going to be the interesting thing over here. Like so. And then you can bring me right onto the taxiway. Yeah, this looks about right, I would say. Okay.
To cockpit. Blood knowledge. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
Roger. Okay. You know what? You guys can start working down there.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
In the meantime, okay, door is locked. Let's just enter some random squawk. I like to see my numbers change all the time. Okay, transponder rolled off, and then we can go ahead and request our pushback clearance, please. So, B-Line 1 Whiskey Yankee, request push and start. B-Line 1 Whiskey Yankee, push and start approved. Okay, GPS primary can go.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
Okay, beacon on, windows are locked, slides arm, thrust idle, park brake set. Before start checklist, please. Park and brake, brake set, takeoff speeds and thrust. V1 138, VR 138, V2 141, flex 73. Windows closed, beacon on, before start checklist complete. Okay, we are good to go. Something I haven't quite found out yet is every time that I go to the outside and back to the inside, it kind of resets my position. Let me show you what I mean. Brake is off. Roger. So we got to the outside. Now it's pushing us back. You'll find that when I go back to the inside, it kind of resets my view to this position, which I really don't like. Like you can see how much forward I'm moving my view in order to get it back to something that looks a bit more like what I'm accustomed to from the Airbuses. Okay, so we've got CFM LEAP engines installed, and these take about as much time to start as the LEAP engines below the max. Then I have a feeling I'm better going to start my engine start now, because otherwise it's going to take a while. Okay, engine 2 start. So let's see. If the LEAP 1As in the A320NEO are similar to the LEAP 1B on the 737 MAX, then they're going to take like a minute or so, idling at 25%. Well, not idling, but a minute or so just doing, in the 737 MAX, it's called bow rotor motoring. BRM. And looks like it's doing the same over here. Okay. So that's going to take a little while, and then the engine start is going to continue. And that is totally normal. Takes a lot of time, especially when you are restricted by slots, then it's a little bit nasty. But then again, for the engines, that's normal. Okay, here they go. That's alright, engine is coming up. Okay, and 2 should be something around 70% in the end, I believe. I mean, the engine is somewhat similar to what I flew on the Max. Yeah, here we go. Indeed, numbers are quite similar. Okay. Engine 1 start.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Okay, you want a parking brake, you get a parking brake. Back to the cockpit, and yeah, it puts us into that position again. But here we go. Okay.
Disconnecting tower. Standby.
You can see the engine still taking some time to start up. That's normal with the new engines. And that's quite as expected. Okay, generator is online, and yeah, the start is pretty much complete, they can disconnect. Okay. Avail. So, ground cockpit, we have 2 good starts, clear disconnect, clear signal left side with a pin, and have a good day, bye bye.
We'll see you next time and have a return plate.
Merci beaucoup, au revoir. So, we assume that's the hand signal seen. Oh, there he is. Okay, hand signal is seen. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thumbs up. After start checklist. Anti-ice. Off. Ecom status. Checked. Pitch trim. That's hard to see in first place. Okay, 32% set. Radar trim. Neutral. After start checks complete. Flight control track. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral. And the rudder. Full left. Full right. Neutral. In case you wondered why the rudder was moving along during my aileron check, that was just before I used my rudder for the first time there. Kind of coupled in the airplane here to enable taxi for people who don't have a rudder, I believe. Okay. Brakes off. Brakes released. Off we go. Okay, brake check. Pressure 0. You can see how the airplane starts rolling forward all by itself, because those LEAP engines have a pretty strong idle thrust. But in order to expedite things a bit, a little bit of thrust surely won't hurt. If the A320NEO is by any chance similar to the 737 MAX, then if you went, 30% thrust to break away, and then back to idle, it would go all the way up to 30 knots. So, engines are in idle now. And indeed, it's rolling quite fine. Kinda maintaining the 13 while we're doing the slight turn over here. 14 knots now. A max would probably accelerate a little bit more, but then again, this is not a max, so my apologies for making those references all the time. It's just the closest to the Neo that I've flown. And overall, it's a variation of the same engine. Okay, so we're going down here, across the bridge, and then straight ahead, and then first left once we left this terminal complex here. You can see how there's still reflections from everything on the surface, clearly indicating to us that the surface is wet. We don't see any standing water though, so that is good. Otherwise we would have to recalculate our takeoff performance probably. Okay, getting a bit fast now. Always a great discussion going on what speed is appropriate on a turn like this. Like, you don't need too much tiller, but you are still pretty much on an apron. So on the apron, theoretically, limit is 15 knots. In turns, theoretically, 10 knots. So yeah, just go and figure from there. Okay, let's see how the crossing of the bridge works. I had a little bit of trouble in the past when I had to cross bridges because the mesh sceneries interfered with one another. But let's see how that's gonna work. Works very well. Very well indeed. Okay, good. Interesting what kind of taxiways you have over here in Charles de Gaulle. Okay then, we're going to leave the terminal complex over here and then first left into November. Now we're going straight, now I'll let it roll a little bit more. Now, what's important to note there, with aircraft with carbon brakes, you shouldn't ride the brakes. So now I'm applying braking with a constant smooth pressure to get it down to 10 knots for the turn. And when we have achieved that, I let go of the brakes. Now I'm going a little bit below 10. So let's go 8. You can see it's immediately accelerating again. Because now we need to take that turn. Okay, and you can see we stayed at or below 10 knots for the turn. Okay, so from here on a little bit straight, so let's add a bit of thrust to accelerate again, and that is kinda how you taxi an airplane that starts accelerating all on its own. In case you're wondering, the A330 at lightweight certainly does the same thing. Okay, 22 knots, back to idle. So we're now going all the way straight ahead to the end and then to the right. Okay. Clear left side, clear right side. No left turns here, okay. Okay, reaching the end, off to the right. And now we go straight ahead, all the way to the end, and then to the left. Okay. Even I can do that. Cool, so now that we reached a long straight line on the taxi, we can discuss changes to the takeoff briefing with our colleague. However, I don't really see any conditions stayed the same, everything's the same, so we can keep it at that. And when the takeoff briefing is reviewed, the colleague is going to do the taxi flow. Okay, still waiting for the cabin. When the cabin is done, we can do the taxi checklist. So for now I'm keeping it a little bit slower because you can see our cabin is still working on something. Okay, Quebec 3, we go one further towards Quebec 4, just over here, and then to the left, crossing the runway and straight ahead to 27 right for a full-length departure. Right side clear, left side clear. Okay, speed 10 knots for the turn. Okay, clear to cross 27 left. Strobe light on. Approach is clear. Left side is clear as well. This is a little bit of a strange taxiway structure here, isn't it? That we go left and then right to cross the runway again. Like, why don't they just put a taxiway here? That would certainly make our lives easier. But anyway, it shall be alright. Okay, cabin, still not ready? Let's give him a call. Oh, look at that. So they just forgot to push the button. That happens. Okay, line up and wait, 27 right. Cabin crew, prepare for departure. Okay, taxi checklist. Flight controls, checked. Flap setting, config 1+F, radar and predictive wind shear, on and auto, engine start selector, normal, ECAM memo, takeoff no blue, taxi checklist complete, lineup checklist. Takeoff runway, 27 right, full length, TCAS, Tara, PEX 1 and 2, off, lineup checklist complete. Who put that taxi light over here? That just doesn't belong. Right side clear, left side clear. Okay, ready? Take off. Manflight 73, SRS runway, auto thrust blue. Thrust set. (100 knots). V1 rotate. Positive climb. Gear up. Nav. Thrust climb, auto thrust. Come on, pitch me down. Flap 0. Speed checked, flap 0. So I'm hand flying it a little bit, just to see how the flight model is, see how I like what it's doing here. We are surely going to see the autopilot in action for the majority of the flight, so we might as well do something ourselves. Now, first impression here is that it really goes left and right fairly easy. Now, I do have to say though that on the A330 and also on the ToLiss A340, the planes just had that inertia of the heavy Airbus, and the 320 obviously has maybe a fifth of the weight or so. So obviously our plane reacts a little bit better than the large Airbuses that I'm used to. Apart from that, it flies really nice on the very first impression. Set standard. Standard cross-check, passing flight level 6-1 now. Check. But it holds its attitude nicely, even flying through the weather over here. And that is probably the most important thing here, that it maintains the 1G flight path properly. Something that I really missed flying in MSFS, because the thing constantly went up and down and lost its trim and so on. Okay, let's climb flight level 240. First time climb alt flight level 240 blue. So yeah, look at those flight dynamics. You can't even notice that the autopilot is on. The thing flies perfectly. Okay, now let's see how the autopilot flies. AP1. Let's see how that's gonna work. Smooth input into the roll. Let's see how the pitch is going to perform. I'm just quickly monitoring this before I start doing my 10,000 foot flow. Look at that. Very smooth pitch down. Really nice. That will be comfortable for the passengers, that's for sure. That will be really comfortable. Now let's see how it's gonna pitch up and end the turn. Nice and smooth. Really good. Perfect, that's what I'm looking for. Okay then. So, is that gonna be turbulent? I don't think so. Let's release passengers. And finally, a little bit of cleanup work there on the flight plan. Optimum 377, cruise 240, and that shall be more than enough. Okay, Brussels 25 left, 130 miles to run, and that's all we need. Okay, very good. So, something you might have noticed as we departed, we only took 4 tons of fuel, and the fuel efficiency of those LEAP engines is really incredible. Now, the Pratt & Whitney engines obviously are very good on the NEO as well. I don't even know which of the ones is more efficient. I really don't know. However, what I can tell is that fuel flows below 1,000 kilograms per hour per engine in cruise are not uncommon. And seeing that for the first time when I flew the 737 MAX was really lovely. Really lovely. And I do hope to see that on the NEO as well. I mean, cruising at such a low level as 240, we're probably also going to have a rather low airspeed, so I'm pretty sure we are going to see it on this flight, but we will see. In true sense of the word. Also, we are just 75 miles from our top of descent. We're out of the busiest part of the airspace of Paris, so I suppose we might as well start setting up for our arrival, at least a little bit. And we are gonna have like 50 miles later in cruise. So that's not going to be too much of an issue there, but, you know, 70 miles out. Okay, arrival, and we come in from Woody, so it's going to be Woody 7 Alpha. leading us up here from Woody towards, actually, is it Woody 7 Alpha? That doesn't quite look like the flight plan I'm expecting. No, it's Arvold 7 Alpha. I thought already, wait a moment, we're coming from the south, there's something wrong from here. But okay. That's why we do this stuff. Arvold. That looks more like what I'm expecting. Okay, from Arvold, Audrey Kirky, yeah, that is what we have. ILS Zulu 25 left, coming from down here at Kirky, all the way around via Bruno VOR. Perfect. And then finally, we need some airport charts as well. What did I open there? No, I don't want that. Airport. Yep, nice. And finally, parking stands. Even nicer. Perfect. Speed, vertical speed. 1000 to go. Okay, I don't want to fly through that. Let's go right by 10 or so. Say heading 025. Heading. In real life, obviously it might be pretty busy in the airspace around Paris, so we might not necessarily have gotten that heading, and indeed I might not even have asked for it, since this is just going to be a little bit of turbulence there. But, you know, if we can just go in between the two, then I am going to do that. Left again, couple of degrees in between the two. I'll stop. I'll cruise. And here we go. And that's what I meant. Fuel flow below 1000 kilograms per hour per engine. That's really incredible, isn't it? Like normal fuel flows in the conventional engines were somewhere in the region of 1100 to 1200 kilograms. And on here, you go below 1000. Obviously, flying low and slow isn't going to give you the greatest fuel flow of all. That's for sure. But nonetheless, you know, really nice to see what those engines can do. Enter destination data. Yep, we will in a moment. But in the meantime, let's go direct to Arvold. Confirm. Here we go. Okay, so let's quickly collect our destination weather. We're gonna go with the METAR. Feature that I really liked over here is that the printer prints it out and you can put it right onto the front over there. It's not always as easily readable, so over here it just gives us our alternate, but if we just about move our view a little bit further up front, we can read it on here as well. I mean, that's probably the position in which you would do your FMS preparation anyway, so that is really nice. Okay then. So let's go ahead with our star. Arvol 7 Alpha. Let's see. So Arvol, Akovi, Rodri, Kirky. And we've got Arvol, Akovi, Rodri. Okay, where's the 209 point coming from? Probably down here, that turn. Let's see. Yeah, it's the turn. Alright, that's fine with me. Then after Kirky, overfly Bruno onto the final for 25 left. Perfect. So, missed approach, track 249, 700, turn left, max 185, heading 105, climbing 4000. And that's exactly what we have in here. And for the ILS approach itself, Starting 5.8 miles out, 2000, 3-degree glide, and all of that matches. Okay, perfect. Enough aids. Do we need anything? Not really. No, we don't really need anything here. We can tune the Brussels NDB Oscar Bravo for the approach. I'm gonna use that on my side, but that would not really be necessary. Okay, Brussels 25, that's good. And destination data. Speed looks fine. Okay, QNH 1008. Temperature 21. And 240 at 7. So, transition altitude 4,500. So let's make the transition level of 60. Like so. Okay, last thing then, minimum's 350. Like that, and then let's do a little bit of mathematics here. Landing performance 25 left. Reset that for me, please. Okay, we set 240 at 7. (21) 1008. There are no signs of any rain in the area, so we assume dry, and all of that looks good. Compute 1854. What do we have? Quite a bit more. We want to go off either Charlie 4 or Charlie 5, so that is easily like 2,000 meters. Let's see what config 3 brings us. Yeah, config 3 for sure. Reverse. Let's just go idle. Okay, that shall be fine. Alright, so landing config 3. The approach looks good. And then we can do auto brakes low. And finally, landing flap 3. Okay, perfect. Fuel, 28 minutes extra, perfect. Even though the prediction for Amsterdam seems a little strange over here. Don't arrive at all, and we don't have any fuel. Okay, well, no comment on that. No comment on that. Okay, secondary will just copy the active, and that's it. Alright, and with that, I would say we are prepared for our briefing. Again, PM starts, but we are going to make our life simple here. So, by the way, in case you were wondering why I'm just getting some 24 FPS over here, I found that it was ever since I installed Ortho, my simulator has times where it's really lagging. I guess that is probably where it's loading the scenery in. So there it's really lagging, and then after that it's totally smooth again. So I really don't know why that happens, but it's just an impression. See, now it's 50 frames again, and now it's totally smooth again. Okay, so let's start the briefing. MSA for the arrival 2,200, the highest in the south, with the AVOL 7 Alpha arrival, ILS Zulu approach runway 25 left from Turkey. Minimum barrel 350, go around trajectory straight at 700 feet, and then heading 105, climbing 4,000 feet. Extra fuel 28 minutes in form of 900 kilos. Okay, guidance for the approach is probably going to be mostly managed, maybe a little bit of selected on the final part where we get radar vectors for a config 3 landing using low auto brakes and idle reverse. Stop margin 1,320 meters. And hotspots for the taxi in, we have one close to our runway over here. And that is here, the entire area. Should we vacate Charlie 4, we need to hold short of the crossing runway 01. And should be cross 01 down here and vacate Charlie 5, we will be good. But then again, we need to be sure whether we are going into the inner or into the outer taxiways. So that's just a bit of stuff that we need to be careful about. Okay, no special operations. Single engine taxi can be considered maybe. And that's about it. Any threats? No? Okay, briefing complete. So we just overflew top of descent. I let this go for a little bit because I want you to see something. When the green dot reaches the bottom of the scale, you can see that now it actually tells us our vertical deviation from the path right here on the primary flight display. That's something that I've really wondered about, why the Airbus wouldn't do that when flying in MSFS, but turns out that the Airbus actually does. And the A330 does as well, by the way. Okay, thruster idle descent. Brake low, alt, flight level 120 blue. Let's go ahead and catch up a little bit. Shouldn't be much of a problem to regain the path, albeit just 1,000 feet high. And that's it. Okay, let's see. Landing at 13:57, so in about 20 minutes. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna put the seatbelt sign on now already, and that should really be it. Okay. You can see the frame rates here. That's I don't quite know. There's some micro starters in there, which I don't totally understand where they're coming from, but well, that's fine. Overall, the Airbus is doing everything it should. And those micro starters, by the way, are certainly related to auto-ortho, because I didn't have them before I installed that. So if you've got any good ideas how I can get rid of them, other than deleting auto-ortho, then I'm very much looking forward to those. Let's just about have a quick look from the outside. Those engines are just... they're big, aren't they? Really nice looking. The model itself, you can see if we zoom in a bit, is quite good. Now the livery isn't one of the default liveries, so I'm not going to comment about any of the texturing things I may see. But overall, those engines are just impressive, aren't they? On the A320NEO, even more than on the 737 MAX, I have to say. What's really interesting there as well, looking from the outside, is on the 737 MAX, you've got those chevrons at the end of the engine outlet, while in the A320NEO you don't. And if you look at those things, or well, if you look at other aircraft, on the 787 you have them, on the 777X you don't. The reason is, those chevrons, while they do indeed reduce the noise quite a bit, they also cause a little bit higher fuel usage. And at a later point, it was found by airplane manufacturers that if you that there are other things that they can do that reduces fuel emissions without having an effect on noise. Or the other way around, reduce noise without having an effect on fuel. That makes more sense. And in those cases, they just went back to the more fuel-efficient engine outlet. And that is why you see them on the A320NEO and on the 777X, while the 737 MAX and 787 still have the chevrons. It was just about a couple of years there where they really played around with those. And now they are gone again already. Okay. So, nicely back on path. You can see how flying just about 20 knots faster for a little while brought back those 1,000 foot in the descent. And now you can see it's perfectly back on path. Exactly as I want to see it. And that gives us a good insight into the drag model of the X-Plane simulator as a whole. You can see in MSFS you need to do a little bit greater changes there in the speed, while in X-Plane, the drag model is a bit more accurate, I would like to say. Even though, obviously, I also have to add that I never flew a 320neo, so maybe it just has a little bit more drag when it flies faster than aircraft that I regularly fly. It's a possibility, but nothing I would put my hand in the fire for. Now, something you may see on this is, on the outside it's really bright, with the clouds being illuminated from the top, while on the inside it's really dark. Now that's something that I do believe comes back to the X-Plane engine. However, it is something that I would certainly like to see improved. Because yes, in real life, if your eyes are focused on the outside, on the bright clouds, then it will be that dark on the inside. However, since we're sitting in simulator here, and since that means that, you know, brightness levels are, well, I don't know, it's just hard to properly simulate that. Like, we can go up here and we can put on our sunglasses, but that just makes it the inside of the cockpit a little bit darker as well. So for that reason, let's put them off again. But you can see how I would like the interior of the flight deck to be a little bit brighter. For the A340, I could find a mod there which did that, but for the A320neo, I couldn't find one. Then again, the 340 is a few years old by now, and the Neo is the latest of the ToLiss aircraft, so, well, 319 is the latest, but you get where I'm going with that. The Neo got the latest cockpit model here, they said. Okay, trust Kirky. What was the restriction over there? Above flight level 70. Yeah, no problem. We are above flight level 70. Overall, really good calculations by the aircraft to get us down here. You can see it's flying almost target speed while it is on the profile. And let's see how close is the wind to what we forecast. Descent wind, none. Okay. Well, then I probably still took it into account by, you know, it should be able to recalculate its VNAV path. Okay, let's descend a little bit further. First idle descent, alt flight level 70 blue. So yeah, if the airplane is somewhat smart, it is obviously going to recalculate the VNAV path based on the actual winds as well. You can see we're flying almost target speed. Even though I am a little bit surprised, but you know, I'm thinking right now that theoretically, if we have 33 knots of tailwind, and the top of descent was based on a zero wind condition, then it should sort of give us a rather high speed profile. But on the other hand side, I'm thinking, well, maybe the Airbus is just smart enough that it remembered the winds from the climb, and since it was such a short flight, it might apply them for the descent as well. And then it would obviously make sense that it got an accurate profile. To be fair, I'm not 100% sure. I can't tell for certain. That's the kind of stuff that I'm going to read up on the first couple of long hauls in the A330 then, reading the FCON. But, you know, for the type rating, how exactly the VNAV calculation works isn't all that important. What we have to know is that it does VNAV calculations, that it does take the wind into account, that magenta dot we see over there, for example, is the speed reduction dot, which it is following now. Going back towards 250, you can see it's doing that nicely. Okay, down to 250, and down we go. Okay, signs are on already. GPS primary, high accuracy, and the start selector normal. Perfect. Okay, let's go down to an altitude, let's say all the way 3000. Set, flight level 30 blue. Okay, what's our QNH again? Set QNH 1008. Passing 8600 now. Checked. Okay, let's go open descent. I want to see a little bit how I can make the airplane descend. So let's stabilize in the descent over here. Heading. Extend the center line. And go selected speed as well, please. Good. So, 4000 above the profile. Well, that's fine. So, and now let's use full speed brake, see what we're gonna get. So, A320, with the autopilot on, you only get half the speed brakes out, even with the lever at the full position. If you disconnected the autopilot, you'd get the full speed brakes. But we don't want to do that quite yet. Doesn't happen on the A330, by the way. Okay, let's do base turn. Heading 160, and let's get the speed back to 20 or so. Okay, I don't think we need the spoilers anymore. But what we can do is the approach checklist. Power ref, QNH 1008, seatbelts on, minimum, barrel 350, auto brake, low, engine start selector, normal. Approach checklist complete. No nav intercept, yeah, that is intentional. Speed, vertical speed. You can see we are just above the glide slope, but it's still like 10 miles to fly to our ILS. For that reason, I'm just giving it vertical speed minus 500, just to be sure that we aren't getting too low and have to fly level all the time. Keeping the continuous descent and stuff like that. Energy speed. Getting slowly back onto the glide slope. Then we can turn right, 220, cleared ILS. Glide slope localizer, blue, cat 3 dual, autopilot 1+2. Flaps 1, speed check, flaps 1. It's funny how you can see it show 1 plus F first for a second when you take out the flaps. You may just want to rewind that a little bit and see that again. When you select the flaps, it shows 1 plus F for a second, but then goes back to 1. That is exactly what the full flight simulator does. Not sure if the real airplane does, but the full flight does for sure. Lock star. Come on, glide slope, please capture. Glide slope star. Go around altitude 4000 set. Okay, 10 miles out, 190 knots, ground speed looks good. And at 2000 feet we are going to continue our configuration. little bit of rain here. Let's see what the EFB says if we take a wet runway. Okay, a couple more meters, nothing significant, that's alright. So, over at Oscar Bravo, we're looking for 1440. Flaps 2. Be checked. Flaps 2. So, let's see the ballooning. Flaps come out. Watch the nose go down. Gear down.
2,000.
Kevin still isn't ready. Well, let's ping him straight away. And all of a sudden he is ready. Lovely. That's just lovely, isn't it? Okay, flap 3. Speed check, flap 3. Landing checklist. Ecam memo, landing no blue. Landing checklist complete. Okay, so. Outer marker 1440, no flags. Well, that was a Boeing call. But you get where I'm going with that. Manual flight. Correct. So we should need something in the region of about 50% M1. We are rather light. Okay, that looks quite alright. And it is raining indeed. Well, wipers on. Weather surely didn't look that bad. Land. And obviously now.
100 above.
Yes, inner marker, you are alive. And now it starts raining again. Continue. We can see what we need to see.
50, 40, 30, 20, restart, 10, 5.
Floaty, floaty, floaty. And we're down. Spoilers, reverse green, decel. Nice as well. On the Neo, you got it right here on the PFD. Manual brakes. 70 knots. Okay, let's take the exit. And that's Charlie 4, so let's just assume that air traffic control has cleared us to cross runway 01, because that means I don't have to stop. Okay. Right side clear, left side clear. And then we turn on to the HOTAS. I'm not cleaning the airplane up quite yet. I'm waiting a little bit with that because Oh, what's those taxi lines doing here? That's not really connected. So I'm waiting a little bit with cleaning the plane up until we are on a long straight line. Like so. Okay, that's definitely better. So what's the brakes doing? Brakes hot, 320 degrees. Yeah, something that I totally missed over the time when I flew the 320 in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Look at those brake temperatures. And this was just a brake low, but using idle reverse. And you can see how they got up really high. But that's something that I really missed while flying in NSFS. $360. Yeah. It's fine for now. If it was rapidly approaching 500, then I would certainly consider turning on the brake fans. But like that, it's alright. Okay, let's start the APU. After landing checklist. Radar and predictive wind shear off. After landing checklist complete. So, as we taxi in, what's my first impression of the ToLiss A320NEO? Well, it's an amazing airplane. It flies well, it taxis well, and the systems do what they are supposed to do, as far as I can tell. Engine simulation, also quite similar to what I'm used to from the LEAP 1B engine, even though this is a 1A on the Neos. But overall, my impression is really good. It is a very nice Airbus simulation. Now, obviously, graphics, well, yeah, it's X-Plane, so it's not going to be as pretty as Microsoft Flight Simulator, but I'm not expecting it to be as pretty either. Now, for the frame rates, it does seem to perform quite well on my system. The occasional stutters you see have been introduced since I installed Auto-Ortho, so I do not think those stutters are actually caused by the aircraft, but rather by the scenery. Talking about scenery, this is Brussels from Just Sim, which I got for X-Plane. It's meant for X-Plane 11, but it works in 12 fairly nice as well. Okay, so that is almost it for this flight. Now, just a little note here, I will have another one coming up very soon where I'm going to try the Blue Sky Star sound pack for the A320NEO, which apparently, according to a lot of my viewers, is really recommendable and really good. Now those guys, oh, they actually stopped. Nice. Even though I was just short of slamming the brakes. In any case, the Blue Sky Star sound set is something that I'm going to check out in a future video, so do stand by for that. And for now, APU shows a veil, bleed on, lights off. Let's go into the gate. Okay. Let's see if the guidance system is working. No. Okay, fine. We can park ourselves. This airplane isn't that big. Okay, this shall do. Parking brake set. So, brakes at 420. Yeah, it's fine. The plane is gonna stay here, so it's fine. Okay. Power available. Engines shut down. Cabin crew, all doors in park. Okay, let's see. Are they gonna disarm the slides? Yeah, they do. Perfect. Okay, slides disarmed. Seatbelts off. Parking checklist. Parking brake or shocks. Brake set. Engines off. Wing light off. Fuel pumps off. Parking checklist complete. Then let's quickly check our IRS performance. Yeah, that's alright. Okay, cool. And that is gonna be it for today's flight already. Very quick demonstration because we are sitting here in the rain right now and because so many people are asking for it. Yeah, the wipers do work. Alright then, thank you very much for watching everyone. I do hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, do let me know in the comments below. I'm looking forward to your feedback. I'm looking forward to your suggestions on what I can improve on my X-Plane or on my Airbus flying. And in the meantime, leave a like if you liked the video. Comment to let me know what I can do better. And subscribe for more. If you really loved what I am doing over here, then I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description below. And in the meantime, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching. I see you all again in the virtual skies for the next one.